Welcome to the Career Conversations Podcast. I'm your host, Owen Bro.
I'm Micaela Tramontano, co-host and co-founder of Future Forward.
And today we're here with...
My name is Brian Patton. I am here from Lee Company today.
All right, so tell us a little bit, what's your job? What do you do at Lee Company?
Currently, I am the Talent Specialist Supervisor. That is a very long title, but in a nutshell, that is recruitment. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm doing these days. In the past, I got my start at Lee Company as a residential HVAC service tech. Did that for a number of years, got into management, managed our office in Clarksville, everything on the residential side anyway, in Clarksville for a number of years before this.
Cool.
How did you choose your career?
It's funny. I've made this joke many times. I say it actually chose me in a lot of ways. So for me, I did the whole college thing. My mother is still a teacher, and so I went to college at it was a private, college preparatory academy is what it was, right? Did not have any of the CTE courses where I went to school, so there was none of the automotive, there was no welding, no HVAC, no electrical, no construction, right? So I went to college when I was, 18 years old. That was just the thing to do, right? Everybody's going to college. Went to MTSU, got a degree. At some point in life, I found myself just managing a restaurant, and kind of got to a point in my life where I was like, how did this happen? This is not where I saw my life going, right? Came to Lee Company. When I tell you I was as green as last year's Easter egg, that is no joke. So I hadn't been to trade school, no license, no certification, no experience. I came in, they said, what are you interested in? At the time I said, I'm interested in learning to be an electrician. And they said, well, unfortunately, we're not hiring for that right now. How do you feel about HVAC? And the rest is history. So.
Wow. So would you say that flexibility played a big role in where you're at now?
Most definitely. When we talk about flexibility, I mean, that we can bring so many things into that conversation, right? But I'd say that me having the flexibility and the willingness to just learn something new, and then even after getting on board with Lee Company, continuing to have that willingness to learn new things and to really get rid of that fear factor, I would say, and just have, just a willingness to fail in so many ways. For me, that is just what success looks like. Reality is, I think from the outside looking in, it just looks like magic, but people don't see the struggle. People don't see all the failures that it took to get that success, right? So I'd say, flexibility is huge.
Yeah. Talk about getting to that success. You mentioned, you started at HVAC, now you're in a recruiting position. What were the steps taken between, being a technician and then going into a recruitment position? What does that look like?
Sure. I'm going to get off in the weeds just a little bit here if I may, but I'll talk about the HVAC side of things first. Again, coming in with no experience. Just having that willingness to do whatever it took to learn the trade. And then, like I said, eventually got pretty good at that. I got up into management. This whole recruitment thing, I've been doing this for, I'm going to say close to 2 years at this point. A need was expressed for a career coach, and that is a position that we've never had in the past at Lee Company. And so I was, in so many ways, I was kind of the guinea pig, right? I was one of 2 original career coaches. And for me, when that position became available, I took a look at it. I went to my boss and I said, hey, man, I'm not trying to just jump ship and abandon you or anything, but this is right up my alley. I mentioned I went to college, right? And so the degree I got was in child development and family studies. Teaching, coaching, it's just kind of always been in my blood. My father is a preacher. My mother, again, still a teacher. My brother, for a number of years, was a teacher as well. I love to just help people, coach them and train them and see them win, just see them succeed at the end of the day. So this became available. They needed somebody to attend events, go speak with groups of students, middle school, high school, college, nonprofits, and above. And that was just kind of my lane. As soon as I saw it, I said, hey, that's that's my dream job,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's kind of how I got into this. So.
What would you say to teenagers who are considering working for a lead company? Like, what do you think is an unexpected part of the job that you are doing now and the job that you did when you first became certified in the trade?
I would say that there was a lot that I didn't see coming, and it was, for me, it was such a huge risk. I made the decision to leave a salary level management position. I was kind of at the top of the food chain in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And come over to lead company and take an entry level position, start at the bottom and just kind of try to work my way back up. So a lot of things that I did not anticipate. I'd just never done anything like this before. I would say as far as the HVAC stuff goes, and again, keep in mind I was a residential HVAC service tech. Wish I would have done a little bit more research about the attics and the crawl spaces because I have spent countless hours in both of those places. If you think about it, that's where all the HVAC equipment is always going to be. They tuck it away, out of sight, out of mind. The duct work, the high voltage, low voltage drain lines, the equipment itself, normally going to be in an attic or in a crawl space, unless it's a package system, which is always going to be outside, right? Sometimes it's tucked away in a garage or a closet in the hallway or some things, but those attics are no joke. If it's 90 degrees outside, those attics are going to get up to 130, 140 degrees plus, and it can get flat out dangerous, right? That took some getting used to, for sure. Crawl spaces they never really bothered me at all. Kind of grew up in the country, catching critters and stuff. So the bugs and the cobwebs and, sometimes crawl spaces are moldy and swampy and muddy and things. That never really bothered me too much. But those attics are, they're hot, right? On the recruitment side of things, it's a little bit harder to answer. I'm going to say the one thing I did not see coming was just this, the trades deficit that we're kind of up against, right? Hear more and more about that. I make a lot of visits to, again, high schools, trade schools as well, speak with a lot of instructors. What we basically know these days is for every 5 tradesmen and women that are leaving the field for whatever reason, whether they're retiring, whether their body just can't keep up with the work anymore because it can be, very physically taxing. Maybe they're getting promoted, taking a management position themselves, right? But for every 5 that are leaving the field, we find that there's only about 2 to replace them. And that does not even necessarily mean that the 2 that are available to replace them have anywhere near the same level of experience and skill, right?
Yeah.
That's been very eye-opening. So I say that's the thing I didn't see coming in recruitment.
Yeah. Owen and I have actually heard about this issue a lot to other people we've networked with, that there's been a significant decrease in blue-collar workers. And like Future Forward as a company is trying to push like all career options to high schoolers.
Yep.
So what would you say to a high schooler who's like considering a job in blue collar? Like why, what are the pros and cons of a typical blue collar job?
Sure. I'd say first and foremost, just do the research. It's very, very important that you know what you're getting yourself into. I mentioned the hot attics. For me, that was not a deal breaker. Clearly, I'm still here, right? But for some people, it is. And so it's very, very important for me when I'm working with students or anybody, your age group that shows interest in this, need to just let them know what they're getting themselves into. And so I tend to be extremely transparent and honest. I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect, right? The trades, I know, hey, they're not for everybody, right? But that same argument can be made for college. Not every single person wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, or an engineer, a vet, or whatever. If you want to go that direction with your life, then, well, yeah, obviously college, that's about the only option that you have, right? For me personally, I loved the work that I was doing in the field. I loved to diagnose and troubleshoot, take things apart and fix them. I also loved just getting to know my customers and kind of building that trust and building that relationship with them. And it's just something about being asked. You run a service call, you get somebody back up and running, and for them to ask you, hey, how do I make sure I get you back every time I have a problem moving forward because you've been awesome, right? I loved that so much. Again, I did the whole college thing. Dad was a preacher, mom was a teacher. It's not like my parents were loaded. And so essentially, hey, you are going to college, right?
Yeah.
I think we've done a great job as parents the last 2 to 3 generations of putting this idea in our children's head that if you live in America and you don't go to college, well, you're going to be a loser somehow, right? That just doesn't hold water anymore. May have been true in the past. Matter of fact, yeah, it probably was true. Both my parents are college graduates, right? They wanted to see me succeed, which is why they told me to go to college. For me, had I known that this was an option, I probably would have gone that route instead. But I did go to college. I racked up a whole lot of student loan debt, right? You guys are what age, 17, 18?
Yeah, I'm gearing up to go to college. I just got a financial aid package yesterday. It was pretty eye-opening.
So I have literally been paying off that student loan debt as long as you have been alive. And I have always had a job, right? I think that statement right there for a lot of people, take some time, just let that sink in, right?
Yeah.
Life comes at you fast. Going to college does not guarantee you're going to get a job. Going to college does not even, well, let me ask you this. Do you know anybody that's been to college?
Yes, lots of people.
Does every single one of those people work in the field the same?
No.
That they got a degree? Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So it's worth taking some time and consideration. Had I not gone to college, had I not racked up all that student loan debt, if I would have gotten straight into service work, HVAC work, plumbing, welding, electrical, any of the trades, right, I would just be a lot better off in life right now, period, right? Mm-hmm. We know that people cannot do this type of work for their entire life. But the time to start is definitely when you're young. It is a young person's game because, again, a lot of this work is very physically demanding. It kept me in great shape, though. I didn't have to worry about it, right? I think I put on about 55 pounds the last 3 years since I've been out of the field. But that kind of stuff right there, I'm not going to make any claim that the work is easy. I'm not going to make any claim that it's for everybody. But it is for some people, right? If you're that kind of person, I say, yeah, absolutely check it out. And FYI, it is not just for the guys. I am shocked, again, talking to a lot of these instructors and things, and the girls and the women getting into the trades. I kind of run in circles around these boys, and it's great to see, right? Especially the welding. I hear this a lot. I go to the TCATs and things like that, and these instructors, hey, these girls, I don't know what it is. They got a steadier hand. They got better attention to detail in things, and they've been turning out some great female welders, So, but for me, it was just I really do genuinely wish I would have taken more time to think about these things and how am I going to pay back these student loans. I think the reality is any 17, 18-year-old in the world, you give them that amount of money. I got that refund check. Hey, here's what's left over from that. And I'm like, hey, awesome free money, right? I get to spend it on whatever I want. Yeah, no, not true. I wasn't thinking about that. Those interest rates will kill you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you mentioned, kind of going to an entry-level position after being in a managerial position in the past. Did you go into that expecting to, move up and, go up in the forward? And also, where do you, plan, what are your goals for the future in Lee Company, or where do you plan to move in the future?
So, first part of that question is no, I absolutely did not expect to move up anytime soon. Coming in knowing absolutely nothing, the story I told myself in my mind is if I want to get back up to a supervisor or a management level, I'm going to be out here in the field for 5 years minimum, realistically maybe even 10, before I have enough experience to step up and kind of take on a leadership role. Let's just say that, at Lee Company, At 41 years old, I've had quite a few jobs. I have never experienced the level of advancement opportunity that I have here at Lee Company. It did not take me anywhere near as long as I imagined. Matter of fact, in my mind, it was not even a possibility to get up to a management level. But in about 2 short years, I found myself in that position. And that really, it genuinely blew my mind, right? In my mind, the reason I thought that is, well, in order to get up to a management level, I've got to be the best technician first. I've got to be, the best, the most technically advanced, and be able to fix anything that's thrown at me. And that's just not what the need was at all. So what I know is, we'll always need plumbers and electricians and HVAC techs, dispatchers and payroll and all these other office positions, HR and all those things, right? I'd say the number one need is just leadership. And so just having somebody that's got the willingness to step up to the plate, shoulder that responsibility, and lead a team. I'm not going to say that's common. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think somebody that's 18 can, get a job entry level at Lee Company and 2 years later be in management, right? I did have a lot of management experience coming into it. I did not think that those skills were going to necessarily be transferable or translate, but it worked out for me either way, right? There was a second part of that question I got.
Oh, yeah. It was, what are your goals, going into the future? Do you plan on staying in your current spot for a while? Do you plan on moving into a different role? Do you have certain goals in your role you want to accomplish before moving out, or what does that look like for you?
To that, I would say, again, I was kind of a guinea pig, and we took a hard look at recruitment at Lee Company, and we just saw some things that we felt like we could improve upon. Historically, the recruiters, going to the events, speaking with students and things like that, they didn't have experience in the trades themselves. And so what we were finding is they're out headhunting, if you will, and they find people that, this is a well-qualified candidate, and they send them an interview, and hiring manager's like, no, that's not what I need at all. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's been really, really cool getting into this and building this team, which we know is workforce and pipeline development these days. And this is a team that has only been in existence for the last 1.5 to 2 years, right? Every single person on my team also has trades experience. So these days we have someone specific that kind of helps headhunt and screen and set up interviews and help place people in plumbing positions and industrial maintenance and things. I've got somebody else that does the same thing for electrical. Somebody else does the same thing for HVAC, and they all came straight out of the field themselves. And that's been really, really cool to see. I don't know exactly what this is going to evolve into, right? But I am very, very excited about it because I've seen a whole lot of success. I'd say that response is very similar to, when I very first started, I became a career coach. It was a very small team. At the time, there was nowhere else to go from there, right? There was not a position to be promoted to at all. It didn't exist. But, after doing this for about 1.5 years, they're like, okay, well, we've had some success. We've been, there's always budget and things you've got to work with, but we got approval to add more people to the team, fill it out. So I actually recently got promoted my current title position about 2 months ago, right? And again, that's not something that was even on my radar. I'm not going to say I didn't think it was possible, but in a way, I did, because, hey, again, there was nothing to be promoted to. Mm-hmm. That's been my experience with Lee Company, though. What it takes is just a willingness, good work ethic and a good attitude, and sky is genuinely the limit. And so I would say that's been my experience is they saw the potential, they kind of saw the success, and it's almost like they invented a position, So that was really, really cool to see. Moving forward, I know my team has also just merged with learning and development, and so now what's really cool is we get to talk to the candidates at the front end and kind of develop that initial relationship and get to know them. And then once they get hired, well, now learning and development, that's all the training and the things. Hey, here's the game plan to get you to those next steps, right? So now it's all kind of tied together. So that's really, really cool to see too. So I don't know exactly where I would like to see it go from here, where it will go, but I am excited because there's so much potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Since you're in recruitment and that's your job, what is your ideal candidate for like an entry-level lead company position?
For entry level, well, exactly what I just said, just a good attitude and a good work ethic. That really genuinely does make the difference between success and failure, especially that first year. If we're talking anything out in the field as far as trades work, that first year is, at least in my experience, the hardest by far. You get over that 1 year hump, though, and it is kind of all downhill from there, right? So what I'm looking for is not necessarily the person that already has a certification or that already has experience. For entry level, we don't expect you to know anything, and in a lot of ways, it's better that you don't, because we don't have to break any old habits that maybe you picked up somewhere else, right? As long as someone is aware and they're well educated and they know what they're getting themselves and they know what to expect. And I typically try to schedule job shadows and, hey, ride along with an HVAC tech or a plumber, an electrician for 1 full day. There is no better way to get a realistic idea of what it is you're asking for or what it is you're wanting to get into. And I've seen that go both ways. I've had certain people, they'll make it 2 or 3 hours into the job shadow and throw their hands up in the air like, okay, please drop me back off. There's no way I'm going to do this for a living, right? But I've had other people that they're with the technician and the technician says, hey, it's kind of getting late. The demand is high. I'm going to be out till 10, 11, 12 o'clock, maybe later. Let me go ahead and drop you off. And they'll say, no. I would actually prefer to stick it out and stay with you. And it's the exact opposite. And they get out of that job shadow and say, hey, I want to do this now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
But that's just what I'm looking for is the willingness. I'm just literally looking for somebody that's going to show up every day, right? Need to be 18, need to have reliable transportation. We run a background check. You got to pass a drug screening. Those are the basic requirements, though, for that entry-level stuff.
Cool. It's great hearing your passion for, teaching other people and seeing others succeed. I think that has really taken you far. I feel like that's been the biggest thing I'm gathering from this is your passion for seeing other people succeed is leading to success in your own career.
Well said. I've learned, I say a lot about leadership. Again, I've been in management for quite a while in my adult life, right? But I got to lead company, and it wasn't until I got to lead company that I really got familiar with that term leader and leadership. There's a big difference between being the boss or being a manager and being a leader. Those are completely different things, right? The things that I've kind of learned about, and I won't make this too long-winded or try not to, there's a book, it's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And that's a book that we kind of went through, and it's John C. Maxwell. It's a great book. It's a little dry, don't get me wrong, but some really good lessons in there. And they talk about this paradox of power in this book, right? And they say a lot of people kind of like that feeling of power, and they kind of intentionally try to work themselves into a position where they're the only person that knows how to do the thing, and so then it's just job security, right? And they want to hold on to that power and things, right? But this paradox of power basically says that the more power you're willing to give other people, the more you yourself are empowered, right? If you think about that, so if and I'm going to the most random thing, if I am the only one that knows how to fold an origami swan, right? And I'm being stingy with that, and I don't teach Owen and Micaela how to make the origami swan. Well, what happens when we get an order? We need 400 origami swans, right? oh, I'm the only one that knows how to do it. Can we see how that might be a problem?
Yeah.
But if I've taught both of you how to do that also, well, now we can all collaborate, and I guarantee you we knock out those 400 origami swans much, much faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so having that ability to coach and train and guide other people to success is a much more desirable skill set, I would say, than just being the boss. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's definitely one thing that I have learned from Lee Company. I have had I've had excellent mentors. I've had great leadership every step of the way. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, we are running out of time today, but it's really interesting hearing about your story. Thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're about 10, 15 minutes up the road. I left y'all some business cards. Anybody that's interested is welcome to reach out to me directly. I'd love to talk to them. Maybe just warn them that I'm long-winded and I may talk to them too much, right? But I've enjoyed my time here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
you.
having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching this episode of Career Conversations. If you check out our other episodes and if you'd like to see a guest on, email us at futureforwards1@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.